McLaren 570 GT, from £154,000. Hearts will not bleed for a person forced to give up a £180,000 supercar as their daily drive after only a few weeks, incumbent Dan Trent having earlier moved on to pastures new.
Leaving yours truly with the key. But so captivating is the vicarious supercar ownership experience, and so memorable is McLaren's first attempt at a grand touring sports car, that letting it go was a proper wrench. With limited mileage remaining in our allowance before the car had to be returned to McLaren.
I couldn't do everything I would have liked in my time with it.
If I had, McLaren would have probably had the first 30,000-mile 570 GT on its hands, and that might have been tricky to sell just a few months after launch.
The highlight of a few weeks with the car was a drive to Wales, where the 570 GT could really show off its breadth of ability. The McLaren was a joy on any drive, be it in Wales, the humble commute, mooching around with friends, or trundling along a motorway.
Traits that are becoming McLaren hallmarks shone through on every journey. Beautifully feelsome.
Hydraulically assisted steering, tremendous visibility, superb wheel and body control, and, without wishing to put too fine a point on it, incredible speed. The way the 570 GT piled on speed, once beyond some initial turbo lag, never failed to amaze, the acceleration relentless, thrilling and addictive. The dual-clutch gearbox, of McLaren's own design, don't forget, not borrowed from elsewhere, was the perfect accompaniment.
The noise never quite thrilled as it should, though, even with the 3,240-pound sports exhaust reinstated from the more focused 570S.
It whooshed and gurgled and fizzed like a really exciting turbo, but there wasn't enough from the V8 to really get the blood pumping, beyond an aggressive blare. Back to the positives.
Perhaps the most satisfying part of my whole time with the car was just the sense of occasion.
That's terribly intangible, I know, but the way the car made you feel, and the positive way in which passers-by responded to it, was a real joy.
And that latter point is not always guaranteed with an expensive, mid-engine supercar.
McLaren Automotive has, in just half a dozen years, courted very favorable public opinion.
That's not to say our time with GT08 MCL was perfect.
We had to return it to the dealer to have a few persistent squeaks and rattles sorted. The optional nose lift occasionally made an extremely unpleasant grunting noise. We never did get to the bottom of that.
More fundamental, however, was the interior usability.
The 570 GT is McLaren's attempt to build an everyday supercar in a sector that includes cars such as the Audi R8 and Porsche 911 Turbo S.
Those cars make pairing a mobile phone, Programming the sat-nav and changing a radio station far simpler.
Somehow, the McLaren sometimes struggled even to hold a radio station, one of its more irritating flaws.
The Porsche delivers better fuel economy and the Audi has a more exciting engine, but, if there was a choice, I would opt in an instant to continue living with the McLaren.
The Audi only really thrills right at the limit and the Porsche is never quite as good as either. The McLaren can do thrilling, cosseting, serene and damn near everything in between.
The McLaren was a delight to spend a prolonged amount of time with.
The irks and foibles couldn't detract from an inherently fabulous car.
It wasn't cheap to run and some of the prices for options are cheeky, but the 570 GT leaves a resoundingly positive impression.
Mine would do without the exhaust, the carbon fiber interior bits and the lightest wheels, dropping the price to £169,505.
That's still a lot, although during my time with the 570 GT, it felt worth damn near every single penny.
If you are in the fortunate position of considering a car slightly cheaper, or, indeed, slightly more expensive, than this McLaren, I implore you to take a look.